Hey, what's up guys? Sloth King here. Today I'm going to show you how to completely flush your power steering fluid. Now this is overlooked a lot by a lot of people and it's actually not that hard to do. It takes about 30 minutes. So let me show you what you're going to need and let's jump right into this. So here is your power steering fluid reservoir. Now as you can tell, the fluid is really dirty, and let me just pop this cap off. It's hard to tell from there, but it should be clear yellow or it should be a nice ruby red. In my case, this is supposed to have Dexron 2 or 3 automatic transmission fluid. It will usually say on the cap, but if it doesn't say on the cap for you, check your owner's manual and you will find if you just need regular power steering fluid or automatic transmission fluid. So like I said, you'll either need power steering fluid or automatic transmission fluid. Mine takes automatic transmission fluid, Dexron 2 or 3 or greater. You will need some sort of catch can. You will need a suction device, either a turkey baster or this fluid extractor that I have right here. I recommend some gloves and some rags and also some brake parts cleaner. If you spill any of this fluid, you can clean it up easily. And you also might need some pliers and a socket set if you plan on taking your reservoir off to fully clean it, like I am. And also everything that I'm using today, I will link in the description below. And then last but not least, I highly recommend getting a jack and some jack stands. So that way, whenever we do start pumping that old fluid out, we can do it easier with the front tires off the ground because we will need to be turning the wheel left and right. The car will be off, so we won't have the assistance of the power steering pump. So I recommend just putting this up in the air. I already have it setting on the jack stands, and no, the jack is not holding any weight. It's just there for an extra safety precaution. If you guys don't know how to jack up your vehicle, check out this video right up here. Anyways, let's get into this. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and open up our reservoir. Set the cap aside, and we are going to suction out as much of the dirty fluid as we possibly can. Oh yeah, that is awesome looking. Let's go ahead and pop that in here. Oh yeah, that looks great. Nice and brown. Now for this, I'm going to just disconnect both of these lines and I'm going to clean this reservoir out really quickly. But just so you guys know, the line that we are going to be focusing on is taking off the small line because this is the return line. The bigger one is the one that sends the fluid down to the pump. This one comes up. So we're going to be just filling this up, turning the system from lock to lock. And then what that will do, it'll force the fluid coming out of the return line, which we are going to use this catch can, or catch cup, I should say. And it's just going to dump all that old fluid in there. And once we know that it's clean, you're going to see nice clean fluid start pumping out. But the first thing that I want to do, I want to clean this reservoir while I still have it pretty empty. So let's go ahead and take these lines off. And if you're not replacing the lines, whenever you put the clamps back on, try to line it up to where they were. It'll prevent them from leaking. All right. Sometimes these hoses really like to just stick on there after so many years. There we go. Oh, there goes some fluid. Ah. So there was more that we did not catch. All right, keep that in mind. Just made a little bit of a mess by accident. Come here, you. Catch the rest of that fluid. There we go. Look at all that. I'm gonna let that drain out, and then I'm gonna take out the reservoir and then clean it up really quick. Alrighty, I got it out, got the 3 bolts undone. All we really need to do is just spray some brake parts cleaner in here just to clean out any of the gunk. And I'm just gonna dump it into my old container over here. Made a mess, but that's all right. Probably just, you know, completely replace it if it's disgusting, but it'll be fine. All right, so now that I have everything cleaned up, I have the send line on. Now we're going to put our return line just right inside of this catch can. Try to position it in there so, you know, it goes right in, just like that. Now we're going to fill this reservoir up with our fluid. Oh. All right, so now that we have everything cleaned off and connected, go ahead and on your return line area, put your piece of hose on here and block it off. Now this is just a universal piece of hose that I mentioned before that I use for various things. This will just prevent the fluid from just draining out since, you know, this is open right here. So go ahead and put our regular return line over our cup right here. So now we can go ahead and fill our reservoir up and begin the flushing process. Right about there will work. Now we're gonna go in the car, put the ignition into the on position to unlock the wheel, and we're gonna turn it from lock to lock. So all the way to the right. And then all the way to the left. And then center it back. Let's go check on the fluid. All right, we see that there's a lot of dirty fluid that came out. Let's refill our reservoir. And if you have a tiny reservoir catch can like this, go ahead and drain the fluid and do lock to lock again. And then we're just gonna keep doing it until we see fresh, clean fluid come out of here. All right, that is looking pretty clean so far. Let's go ahead and empty this and do it one more time. Oh, my cup fell off. Uh-oh. Well, that made a mess. All right, guys, and since we are above both lines, I'm going to go ahead and turn the wheel until we're under the cold minimum section. All right, that's looking good. Look at that nice, beautiful fluid. That is nice and clean now. So now we can put our return line back on. All right, guys, so now that we have everything back together, the fluid looked great. I'm going to just fill it up to the cold minimum line, and then we're gonna start the car. Perfect, right there. Now let's go start the car, turn the wheel from lock to lock, and get all of this air out. All right, now that is on, let's go ahead and turn from lock to lock.
2 hours later.
And if you look at that, we do not see any foaming coming from that reservoir. If you see any foaming inside of this reservoir, that means there's air still in the system. So you're gonna keep turning it from lock to lock. But since I wanna double check and make sure that there is zero air in there, I'm just gonna keep turning it from lock to lock just a few times. And there we go. That looks good to me. All right, and one more thing to note, since we are up in the air a little bit, we do have a little bit more fluid than just the bare minimum. The cold max is right up here, and this is the hot max. So we're almost up to the cold max while we're up in the air since the car is like that. We're going to verify that we have the right fluid level by putting it down onto the ground and making sure we're exactly where we want. And also, if you spilled a bunch of fluid like I did, go ahead and take some degreaser, spray some degreaser on here, flush it out with a bunch of water, and then just wipe everything up, and then you should be good to go. All right, guys, I have the 4Runner on the ground now, and we are just a hair above the cold minimum. And that's good. So there's 0 air left in the system after I turned it lock to lock just about 3 or 4 times, and it's great. So the next test that you guys can do, you can go out for a drive, probably about like 10-15 minutes until your whole engine is all warmed up. That's usually when your power steering fluid should be warmed up as well. And then check your cold minimum and cold max level. And if it's not up to there, just go ahead and add just a little bit more fluid, and then you'll be good to go. That's it, guys. So this took me probably about 45 minutes to an hour, just because I spilled a little bit of the power steering fluid, or I should say the transmission fluid in my case. And yeah, so I had to go ahead and clean all of that up. But if you guys aren't cleaning your reservoir and you don't have any major messes, you can get this done within 30 minutes. It's not too bad. I do advise picking up 2 quarts of whatever you're using, because that's how much I used. I picked up a gallon and I used almost half of it just because I spilled it. But usually this will just take about a quart, and then you will have clean fluid running through it. So anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys out, and now you have clean power steering fluid. If it did, awesome. Make sure you keep up on that maintenance, write it down. Like always, I'll catch you guys on the next ride.